uh, NFC Conference Championship weekend was awesome. So that's all I'm gonna say. It was pretty freaking cool.
This is our sound check, right?
That's the mic. Yeah, this is our sound check.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I needed to put that out there.
Football this year is probably the most amazing year. If you're watching football for the
Right?
first time and you're not a fan of it yet, I have no idea. You're just not a sports fan.
Yeah, we got nothing for you. All right. Sound check done.
Welcome to another edition of the Arena Podcast. My name is Gabe, and I am joined by my other half, Walt. Say hello.
Yo.
Whoa, that's a deep yo.
Yo.
What is up with that yo?
Yo.
Whoa. Well, we have just completed.
At one point, I was part of Boys to Men before they became men.
Oh. Did they cut you before they actually hit it big?
Yeah, exactly.
We have just completed the championship weekend. The AFC NFC championship weekend was upon us. Amazing games once again, and we're gonna get into all of that stuff, the ramifications of the games, the picks for our Super Bowl, and just how crazy this whole thing was. But before we do, just a quick reminder to please like, rate, share, and subscribe. It's the best way to help us grow this podcast, so we can keep bringing you awesome content on a week-by-week basis. Aside from that, if you have any kind of, we are obviously recording remotely and still under the auspices of a pandemic. So if you hear any sound artifacts or any kind of quality issues, you can blame Walt, because he has contracted COVID, and he is going to be recording while under duress, just because he's trying to bring to you the content that we know you love and need after such an amazing weekend.
There you go.
So, how are you feeling otherwise? I mean, I know that you said that you're starting to feel a little bit yucky now.
Yeah,
but
it started out. So my wife contracted it first. She got it from. She's a teacher, and so she got it from school. Brought it into the house.
Grubby kids.
Then, yeah, exactly. And so she brought it in, and then we were good for like almost the entire week. But then yesterday, I had a little runny nose, and so I decided to check myself, and guess what? I've been COVIDized. So
yeah. I mean, it sucks.
I got the Rona, as they say, right? So,
all right. Well, I'm glad that you're feeling okay up until now, even though it sounds like you might be getting a little bit worse, and hopefully, the whole household can, get through this with minimal issues.
yes.
On to the games, though. What a freaking day. What I want to say weekend, but obviously we just had the 2 games today. But man, I personally thought in the last episode, I had predicted this weekend to be a dud. And it kind of started out a little bit looking like it was going to be like that with the first game in the AFC, the Bengals versus the Chiefs. And that game started out kind of looking like, oh, this is going to be another blowout dud. Whoa, was I wrong? The drama is insane with this postseason. What did you think of the game, first of all?
Well, I thought it was interesting because the Chiefs went up 21-3 early, and they looked like they were going to be unstoppable. And this had all the earmarks of a rout and stuff.
Yeah.
But then, Joe Burrow, keeping his cool. I think I think a lot of it had to do with them being a little nervous. I mean, conference championship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they settled down in the second half, came back, and really, it almost felt like the Bengals made all the adjustments and the Chiefs didn't.
I think it's something a
It,
little bit outside of that. I didn't think that like they were nervous. They didn't play nervous. They weren't making mistakes really in the first half. They just were getting outplayed. But yeah,
they
Joe
weren't
Cool.
making plays though.
They weren't making
You know,
plays. They weren't making plays, but
second half, everything they did was golden.
that's because KC was doing their job in the first half. And I think it's less of a this is again an opinion, but to me, it's less of a Burrow and company were nervous and whatnot. It's less of that and more of KC took them for granted. They were so jovial and kind of like, oh man, like we're scoring on these guys like nothing. Like I think they just kind of let their guard down and came out into the second half thinking that they were just going to breeze by and blow them out. I think that
If
they were
that's
feeling
true,
themselves way too much from last week and did not expect there to be, you know, I think in their mind, they probably looked at the Bills as like, this is the stiffest competition. Everything else is easy from here on out.
yeah.
Um,
If that's true, then I'm very very disappointed in KC because um, it's not like this is the first time that they're facing the Bengals this season. They did face them earlier, and
mhm,
the Bengals did beat them.
mhm.
So if you're saying that they went in overconfident and thought that this was going to be easy, and once the route was on, they didn't think that they would come back because the game played out exactly as the same way that they had their matchup. I think it was in week 17 or something
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
week 17. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost exactly the same way. The Bengals went down early and then they came back and won the game. And so, if you're saying that the Chiefs thought that they had it, you know, burn in hand, then you know what? That's super disappointing because we've seen this before.
Well, the reason
And
I
they've
say
seen
that,
it before, and it was recently,
yeah, the reason I say that, and this is gonna go into my key play of the game or key moment of the game was the end of the first half. The Chiefs have the ball, at the very end of the first half, and they, on their final play, they had the perfect position to, just score the easy three. And no, Mahomes feeling himself, he said, I want the ball, I want the play, I want the TD. And instead he throws a pass to Tariq Hill, doesn't, get the first down, doesn't get anything. And Tariq Hill, he's like, oh man, I dropped it, like didn't get the touchdown, but they're, leaving the field laughing and playful and stuff like that. The moment that I saw that, just the decision to not pad, their score, uh, going into the locker rooms, to me, that was an overconfident mistake. That's saying that like, oh, we don't need these extra points. It's okay if we can gamble and not take these points because they're not going to catch up. And it was at
right?
that moment that I think I might have even messaged it to you, saying that I feel like that was a little bit of a bad move. And to me, that was the turning point of the game because had they scored that field goal instead, they would not have gone to overtime. They would have won the game.
It's quite possible. It's quite
If they
possible.
tie the game, if they had the extra three, I mean, of course, we don't know like how the Bengals would have responded,
Right.
coming out of the half with, with that score and stuff like that. But they were still back eight. What was it? Down 18 points. They were down 18. Being down
Yes.
18 or being down 21, I don't think would have made much of a difference in how the Bengals would have responded. So if nothing
I
changes, that would have been the Chiefs would be in the Super Bowl.
I would say, you know what? I kind of agree and I kind of disagree at the same time
Okay.
because you look at what the Chiefs were doing at that time. They had three possessions, they had three touchdowns. And
Right.
so everything seemed very simple. So, you can make the case that they were saying, you know what, let's not let up on this. We're rolling through right now. Let's score the touchdown and really kind of really apply the pressure on the neck of the Bengals at that point because if they had scored, it would have been 28-3. That would have been really, really difficult for them to overcome. And so,
I mean, I
24
can
to
see
3,
I can
yeah,
see
I
that.
mean,
I can
it's
see that
it's
point.
apples and oranges and stuff, but you know what? It's just a demoralizing point that we've scored a touchdown on every possession and we're getting the ball to start the second half. So, you're right. It is a turning point in the sense that when the Bengals stopped them, right,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gave them a little bit of momentum to say, you know what,
Right.
we were able to stop them at this point. We're going into halftime. We're not as bad as it could have been,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do, like I said, I do agree on the point that was a turning point of the game,
Yep.
because you know what, if the Chiefs had scored, chances are they probably don't come back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's
So,
just the way that I look at it. The reason I look at it as an overconfidence thing is because I agree with you on going for the TD. I agree with you, like putting the pressure.
yeah,
They've got the downs. They got the space to go. The reason I felt like it was an overconfident move, like an arrogant move, actually, is because they don't have the time, and they know that like if they don't get the touchdown, they're gonna run out the clock. If you don't have the time to go for the TD, then I think you score the easy three, the guaranteed three.
yeah,
You
I
just don't
guess.
have the time. If they had 30 seconds on the clock where they can possibly, all right, we're gonna go for the touchdown. If it doesn't work, we'll kick or something.
Hmm.
We'll call a timeout. I think they still had timeouts. We'll call a timeout and kick. You know, but they didn't have
Right.
the time even to call a timeout. He tried to call a timeout at the end, and it was too
Hmm.
late. And that's why I looked at it as an overconfident move, an arrogant
Yeah.
move to me. What was the if that wasn't the key moment for you, what was a key moment for you in that game?
Well, it has to be the overtime play. That to me was
Yeah,
was
that's
really the
true.
thing.
That's true,
That
man. Oh
that
my
in,
god,
that interception was just killer right there. By
for sure.
Patrick Mahomes. And it's funny because you and I, we were gigging at the end of the ball game, and we're like, okay, whoever is going to get the coin toss is going to
Yeah,
win, right?
nine times out of
And
10, nine times out of
yeah,
10. And it's
and,
funny because at the very beginning of the game, I wasn't home yet. I was driving around and I was listening to the game on the fan.
okay.
And when they did the coin toss and Casey won the toss, I forgot who were the announcers that do the radio broadcast, but they were like, "Oh, surprise, surprise! Kansas City with another coin toss win." And this is at the beginning of the game. So then when they win the coin toss in the overtime, I was like, "What the heck?" I mean, this feels a little bit too impossible. What's the probability of playing a game where it comes down to the overtime coin toss as it did last week, and then the following week the game pretty much ends exactly the same? It comes down to a field goal tie, and then you get the coin toss and you win the coin toss. I mean, I would want to know what the odds were on that bet right there. What are the odds of
50-50?
no 50-50 of winning the coin toss, but 50-50 on winning
No,
the
I
coin
know, I
toss
know.
after? That's
I'm
crazy.
kidding. Well, what did you say? Weighted coin, right?
Yeah, I was like, the fix is in. The fix is in for sure.
Yeah.
They cannot win this many coin tosses in a row.
Well,
But
you know what? Maybe it
karma.
was karma. Exactly.
Yeah,
Maybe it was karma
karma.
from not allowing Buffalo that chance last week, and they were like, "Okay, you got to live the golden life this week. Now, but last week, now this week, we're gonna change it up on you."
And then you know what? This actually kind of, in a way. So if you remember our messaging back and forth, I was saying that, like, you know what, like last week I was against all the calling for a rule change. In some respects, there are some. I do believe that there should be a change that guarantees a possession for the losing team on the coin toss. But my
Right.
original logic was, if you win the coin toss, that just means that your offensive team gets to play against my defensive team. If I
Hmm.
lose the coin toss, it's not like I don't have a chance to stop you. I have my chances to stop you, and basically it's still kind of like a 50-50 thing. And today it kind of validates that, because the defense is what won that game for them, really.
Yeah, it's true.
That interception gave him the opportunity to put the game into a any score win situation.
Well, it was a really weird interception if you look at it, because I'm actually watching the replay now, and so Mahomes is on his own 20, and he throws a a deep out to this receiver who's, you've got the single high safety and then coverage underneath. And so it was actually pretty decent coverage. Mahomes dropped it right in between the two defenders, but then it bounced
It
off of
bounced
his receiver right into the
into
hands
his, not
of
into
the
his laps,
trailing.
into his
Yeah,
lap. He didn't even realize that he caught the ball.
right.
I
It
think that like
it
the way
went
that I
into
looked
the
at it, the
hands of the
reaction
trailing
was
defender.
the reaction to me, the way that I felt, like the way his body language was, the ball fell into his lap. He just instinctively grabbed it and hugged it, and he paused for a moment, was like, "Oh crap, I got the ball," and then he turned around and started running. But I think like for a moment he truly didn't realize that he had the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I know.
That was
But
if it had to end, if karma had to give him the retribution and end on an interception like that in overtime, it couldn't have like been a weird interception.
yeah, I know. It really wasn't, because you
On
know
the
what?
trailing defender,
It was a good throw. It was a good
yeah,
throw.
it
He
was.
dropped
It
it
was.
right in between
Yeah.
the two,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But hey, it is what it is. So and the thing about it is that Patrick Mahomes never throws interceptions, especially in conference championships, And so
Yeah.
here
This one's a tough
here's
one.
an
This is a
instant.
tough one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It really wasn't
But it
his
is a
fault.
numbers game. It is a numbers
Yeah,
game. That's what the
exactly.
analytics will always tell you. It's always a numbers game. Just because he hasn't
Eventually
thrown an
stuff
interception, it's
happens.
gonna happen at some point. And
Yeah.
when it happens, everyone will say, "Oh man, he never throws an interception." Yeah, but he's not perfect. And the numbers say even if there's a 1% chance, that 1% will come about. If
So
it's
now he's got 3 losses in the conference championship,
oof.
2 to Brady, 1 to Joe Cool. Can we
Oh
talk about
man,
Joe Burrow and the
dude,
Cincinnati
that
Bengals?
guy. It's funny because I was telling you that it's this year, this season's gonna go down as such a pivotal historic season because it's the end of an era with Brady.
Yeah.
And of course you got Aaron Rodgers, his era with the Packers is coming to an end and all that.
Hey,
It's
did
not
Brady officially retire yet, or is it
no,
still up in the air?
still not announced. I mean,
Oh my God.
all sources point to the retirement actually happening.
Right.
But it hasn't been officially announced. It's possible, didn't you say, isn't there something with his salary and all that stuff that he needs to retire at a certain point
Right.
for it
So
to
the way that I read it, and people can fact check me on this because I'm a little woozy today, but um, if I remember correctly, June 1st is that threshold day, and so if he retires anytime before that, it's a $32 million cap hit against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and so that's $32 million of dead money in a year where they have probably like 20 to 25 free agents, and some of them are really, really good players. So, you know, the fact that Brady's retiring, first of all, makes it hard for them to sign those free agents. The fact that if he does retire by that time, now you have $32 million less in the cap. That makes it even more difficult for the Bucks to sign players.
But let
So,
me ask you, you don't think that it's possible to just like say, I have intentions of retiring after June 1st, and then that be the announcement? Or like, does the moment that he says that, hey, I'm going to retire, that automatically officially nullifies everything? Like, I think that, like, I mean, like,
I gotta be
that sounds
honest, I really
crazy to
don't
me.
know. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I really don't know. I would assume, and this is just me being in the business field and stuff, that nothing becomes official until those contracts or whatever forms that
Yeah.
need to be filled out are filled out. So
Right.
he can probably say, you know what, I'm retired, but then it doesn't become
Yeah, it
official
doesn't
until
become
he
official until he
submit
signs the
those.
paperwork. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's weird because this kind of feels almost like a Tony Gonzalez situation, because Tony Gonzalez retired right after the Super Bowl, where he lost by, I believe it was like a 3-foot margin. It was that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And, a couple of months later, he sat down and he thought about it. And he was like, can I unretire? you know? And so I think Brady actually is doing the right thing and not doing anything, because right now everything's kind of fresh. And so if
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
takes a step back and starts to really look at his situation, he might come to the same conclusion and say, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm done. My wife wants me home. My kids want me home and stuff like that. But there's also the chance that he might rally the troops and say, let's go and do this. Let's go for one more rodeo and let's see if we can get this done.
You know the
Because they're still a very, very good team
you
that
know the
was
thing
ravaged
is,
by injuries
yeah,
this year.
yeah. And you know the thing is that what leads me to believe that the retirement's actually happening is that
You're probably right.
with media the way that it is, you know, something like, you know, Sports Center, ESPN, you know, CNN, these major outlets, they're never in the business of doing a retraction. The retraction is the absolute worst thing that you can do as a media outlet.
Hmm.
And with the profile, the high profile, you know, ness of ESPN, for lack of a better word, I guess,
Right.
um I don't think that their sources would steer them wrong. I think that like they probably have it on good sources, even though it's not official that he's
Hmm.
retiring, and that is why we're seeing all the retirement packages and media stuff and all that stuff that's going on, like the highlight videos. I just feel like if it really was up in the air, they would make a note of it, they would report it, but they wouldn't be investing so much time and energy in thanking him and making the highlight reels and all that stuff.
So let me ask you this question, because especially lately with the way media is being portrayed by certain parties and certain people, you know, in different arenas
Hmm.
and whatnot,
Hmm.
um, there is always the rush to get the story out first, and that's why we have
Right.
such things as clickbait, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Um, Now, and normally I would agree with you, because companies like ESPN, they're not going to put their reputation on the line by
Right.
putting out these things without sourcing out and making sure that the facts are correct. But I find it kind of odd that especially Brady's father has really, really put it out there. I mean,
But
you
that's what I'm
know,
saying. It might be a legal thing. It might be a whole legal thing. Like, hey,
it
hey,
could
it's
be,
not.
it
We don't want to
could
say
be.
that we're retired until they figure out what the actual legal ramifications of it are with the contracts and stuff like that. It could just
Or
be
it could
that,
be
you
a
know.
favor to the Bucks and saying, you know what,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah, that's what I'm
don't
saying.
put
Like,
it out there
yeah,
because there are potential guys that may want to come here. But I find it
yeah,
interesting because you could have taken another route and just said, we're not going to comment on it at this moment in time, instead of
yeah,
making the case to say that, what you heard isn't really what you think
yeah.
it
I
is,
mean,
so
yeah.
that's the only thing that makes this particular situation weird
I
you
mean,
know
the reason that it's out there is because obviously someone close to Brady that knows the situation has reported on it to a very strong source in Adam Schefter, and I forget who the other reporter is that has his source as well. So two source confirmation. This
Was it
kind of
Ian Rappaport? I think it is. Was it
was it?
him,
I
or
think it was actually. But
maybe
anyway,
I don't know.
you know, they as reporters will pay to get a story, and they're not going to pay unless it's a credible source.
True.
And unfortunately, this happens in the celeb world, in the Hollywood world, which, you know, when you're a high profile guy like Tom Brady, you're not just a football player, you're in the celebrity world. I mean, married to Giselle Bundchen. I mean, come on. You know, you unfortunately will have people around you that'll take a payment just to let you know, like, yeah, like just
Yeah.
a one liner. Yeah, he's retiring. That's it, you know?
Yep.
But anyway, going back to the actual
Yeah.
divisional champ, not the, yeah,
We just took a
the
detour,
conference,
right?
yeah, the conference championships. This puts Jimmy G. That's what we're gonna talk about next. Sorry. Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
It's gonna put Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. What an amazing run to the Super Bowl in his 1.5 year. It's his
Yeah.
second year, but he only played what, 4 games? I forgot how many games he played last season.
He played. I think he played half a
6.
season before he wrecked his knee.
Yeah.
You know.
So first
So
season wrecks his knee, comes back, and he has a season like this where they made it to the playoffs. Well, you know, congratulations, that's good for them. You know, they've done so great that they got to the playoffs. That's amazing. We'll see you next year. Oh wait, they won the first round. They won the wild card. Oh, the divisional plays. Oh, you know what? Amazing. You did amazing. Then you got to the divisional games. Great job. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
And then they make it to the championship. It's like, well, this is unheard of. Never ever thought that this would happen with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I mean, it's been 30 plus years since they've even been there. Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck. Amazing job. Especially you're going up against the Mahomes, Mahomes, and I want to say the Mahomes because everyone in the stadium is a Mahomes. You're going up against Mahomes in Arrowhead. Good luck. We'll see you next year. And no, they go in there, they do their job, and now they're going to the Super Bowl to face the Rams in the Rams home court. Can you believe that this is even possible for Joe Burrow?
Yeah, well, I can, because you know what, he has some weapons on offense, and he's got a pretty good defense there, and you can see that especially in the second half when they shut down, the KC offense. So there was always a shot for these guys.
I guess so. I was completely wrong.
It wasn't as clear cut with these guys, because these guys can light it up, and they also play defense. And they can run the ball too, which is important.
You know what's crazy? I don't think that there was a single, professional analyst that gave the Bengals a shot. I think
there was one. There was one. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I was watching it yesterday.
Named Walter Melgar?
No, because remember, I did pick the Chiefs.
Yeah, I did pick the Chiefs. It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
You know what? I'm kind of kicking my head in some respect, because I should have made some of the picks that I would have wanted to, but I kind of chickened out. But you know what? Quite honestly, though, to be honest, I did pick those picks, and it did make sense. I mean, the Chiefs are an amazing team. There was no doubt about it. And the run that they were on, why would you pick against them?
Yeah,
but I did see one guy. I did see one guy on NFL Network. I can't remember who it was.
Interesting.
But he did pick the Bengals. So there was a couple of people out there. Kudos to them. But it was a fantastic game either way. It really, really was. It was shocking.
It was a very shocking game. And I think the shocking nature of it is what I think took a little bit of steam out of the following game, which is the NFC Championship between the Rams and the 49ers.
Oh, but it was
such a great game. But I think that me personally, I was still reeling from what I just saw with the Chiefs and the Bengals. It wasn't a shootout the way that, I mean, that game wasn't a shootout either, but start off with the storyline of the Chiefs are up 23 to 3, no,
21 to
3. And, it's going to be a blowout. And then all of a sudden you start seeing the Chiefs making the mistakes, and then it goes to overtime. Like, there was just so much drama in the first game that this second game, it was more of it was a really good, strong football game, the kind of football game that you like.
Yes, definitely.
But it was more of a traditional game with not as much drama all the way up until the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter was packed with plenty of drama.
It was. And again, my kind of game, because I really like those drag out defensive type battles, and especially in the first half, it didn't disappoint. And ironically enough, another comeback. Right?
I can't believe this. This is
another comeback, because they were down. What were they down?
They were down 10 points.
Yeah, they were down
10 points
right?
to come up on top 20-17.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and if I'm not mistaken, like the biggest deficit that a team has overcome to win a conference championship was a 9-point lead. So they now have the record for the biggest deficit to come back in the fourth quarter. It's a deficit in the fourth quarter, biggest deficit to come back and win the championship.
But those guys were banging though.
They were hitting each other hard. They were going in. They were going in.
Aaron Donald has no love for the San Francisco 49ers, right?
Do you have a background on that? Do you know why that is? Because he really got them fired up. He got that defense fired up in the second half.
He just does not like the 49ers. I mean, he was like, I am not losing to them,
It was and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and use that as my key moment of the game. The moment in the game when Donald decided to call the entire team over and tell them that we cannot lose this game. He was saying that I want to go to the Super Bowl. I want to face the Bengals. That's where I want to be. I need you guys to take me there. That's what I want.
The only
Okay.
thing I'm lacking is a championship.
That's
Those
the
were
only
his
thing
words.
that he doesn't. Yes,
You know?
exactly, right. And the fact that he took a moment to do that in the middle of the game, not in the locker room, not anywhere else. He's like, no, I need to show leadership right now. And at that moment is when I think like they really got fired up. They started to like make the hits. They started to make the stops. And even then it was still like that was pretty early on in the second half, and it was still a bit of a shootout. It was still like both sides were hitting plays and both sides were making big mistakes. What to you was the key moment for you?
Well, it was a bunch of key moments because it was those last two drives by the 49ers.
Yeah. Oh
Those last
man,
two
those last two
drives
drives. You know
were
that's something. That's a news. That's a
that's
story in its own,
disappointing.
man. That's a
Yeah,
story in its own.
that was super disappointing to see that how well they were playing up until that point, and then to see the dysfunction in those last two
Yeah,
drives.
yeah.
That for me was really more the key of the game, more than anything else, because you know what, quite honestly, they had the opportunity to win that game. There was no excuses. All they had to do was execute, and they were exactly the
Antithesis?
antithesis,
And
yeah,
anti or
of
antith?
antithesis,
I didn't realize
right?
I was doing a podcast with Tyson.
There you go.
Antithesis.
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 Antithesis. It's COVID, dude. It's
Please don't
COVID.
punch me.
You know.
Please don't hunt me down, Mike Tyson. I love you. I've been watching you since I was a kid.
But they were okay. So let me put it easier. They were the exact opposite of the Bengals from the game
Yeah,
before, because
you know,
the
honestly,
Bengals were making plays, and
the
here the San
49ers are
Francisco
the
could not.
definition
You
of
know,
choke. This
I
is the definition of choke. No, it
I
really is.
wouldn't I wouldn't
Come
go
on,
that far.
the
You
very
know,
last two drives, you completely do a 180 on how you've been playing the entire game, and then in your final drive, the most important drive, you cause a terrible interception. It's not even like he threw the ball; he's being dragged to the ground. He just flicks it backwards blindly, okay, and then it gets intercepted.
it's funny you say that, because now that I'm thinking about it, you can interchange the uniforms with the ending of these games, and it's kind of the same result, because even in the KC Cincinnati game, one of the things that was driving me nuts was Patrick Mahomes with his scrambles, but
Yeah.
going backwards. Those are the things that were driving me nuts with those final drives that he had,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what, the goal, I think, in these games is to move forward, but he's dropping back 20,
Well,
30 yards and stuff like that.
right, but you know
And
what?
so
That's
that was
actually
driving me nuts. That's his game.
that's
I
his
know that's
game.
his
And you want to
game.
know? I was thinking about this actually last week. The reason that he does that, and the reason that's his game, is because it actually distracts the opponent. He drops back. He's dropping back 10, 15, 20 yards. He's scrambling left and right. What that does is he's making his opponents chase him, but it gives his receivers time to get
Right.
free, and at the same time it gives the receivers the not the receivers, but like the safeties and the backfield, kind of that air of like, oh, he's about to get sacked. They kind of relieve a little bit of pressure, a little bit of coverage. They don't cover as strongly, and the next thing you know, Mahomes just zips it, and
Well,
it's like, whoa,
that's
like
the
how was he
value.
so open? And
Yeah.
I think that the Bengals just they were disciplined in
Hmm.
not letting up. They were disciplined and like, I don't care how much he's running, I'm covering the entire time.
Yeah.
This man will not get open no matter how long I have to cover him. You know?
And that's the value of a pass rush, because you don't need to sack the quarterback for the pass rush to be effective, because you know what,
Exactly. Yeah.
the pass rush is built there, because you know what, it's very difficult to cover a an NFL wide receiver for more than 3 or 4 seconds. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so,
Yeah.
the pass rush is even if you don't get to the quarterback, the fact that you're pressuring him into making earlier decisions, that's what impacts a game, right? But with a mobile quarterback like Mahomes, to your point, he extends plays, which then makes it even more difficult for the defense to kind of
Yeah.
cover these
Yeah.
guys. And so that's why sometimes you see these guys wide open, because you know what? You can't ask a cornerback to do, especially with the rules the way they're set up right now, where you
Mm-hmm.
can't touch anybody, you know. But going back to the San Francisco game, yeah, those two last drives were just horrendous. I mean, I would have thought that they would have come up with something better, especially the way that they were playing, and everything just went out the door with those last two drives,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest. So
It's I feel bad for the 49ers who played so well, so disciplined in this game. You called them the team of destiny,
yeah,
this season, the whole
they had
nine.
that look, man.
And they did. And it was Garoppolo's, it's, in all likelihood, Garoppolo's last season as a Niner, most likely
Right.
going to be in a different jersey next season.
Which is a travesty, to be honest. But
Considering that he was, a backup quarterback to starting quarterback, like, where is he really going to be playing? I don't know if he's going to. I feel like he's a good enough quarterback to be a starter, but just skimming the surface. I do feel like he's still a backup quarterback personally, because he doesn't have.
oh no,
I personally, I don't think,
I don't think so.
I don't think that he has the punch. I don't think that he has that.
I don't think he's an elite quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't think
maybe I
that at
wouldn't call
all.
him a backup, but like, I definitely don't think that he's an elite
But he's a
quarterback.
guy. He's a guy that can get you to a Super Bowl. He's definitely
Yeah,
one of those guys. He may not be the reason, but
yeah.
he's definitely a guy that
He's
can
a
get
good
you to a Super Bowl.
facilitator. He's definitely a great facilitator. But that last
Right,
play, man,
exactly.
like, I don't know what he was thinking. Why not just take the sack and start over? Because when you have little time left, you have no time left, and it's the end of the game, you have to protect the ball. You
That was
know,
a third down play, right? I think that was a third down
was
play.
it? I think
Yeah,
no. I mean, I think, was it third down? Might have been
I
second
think it
down.
was
Was
a.
it third?
I thought it was a third down play.
I thought it was second down.
Let me
If you look that up,
check
but
that.
like, I thought it was second down. Regardless, protect the ball, because you don't have a chance if you lose the ball. You have
Right.
zero chances. You're within the 2 minute mark. I believe it was just over a minute left in the game. You don't have the I guess the benefit of the doubt to drop the ball. Literally, that's what happened. I mean, when that happened, I honestly could not believe that happened, and I was flabbergasted. I wanted the Rams to win. I was rooting for the Rams, although in general, actually, I was rooting for just a good game, and we got two.
Yeah.
But man, that's I feel bad for Garoppolo, because that's, out of all his achievements, everything that he's done to get here to the championship, he will be known for that last play.
He will. He will. But you know what? I think he'll land on his feet. Um, I happen to think that he's probably a better player than you think, and stuff. But
The
you
thing is
know,
that, like, I think that, like, his tools and the defense that the 49ers played, the running game that they played, made him look better. I don't know that he's going to land on another team that's going to have the synergy that the 49ers had, because the 49ers had good synergy. The 49ers, between their special teams, defense, and offense, they had good synergy. And it just kind of makes, like, Garoppolo being who he is, a facilitator, doing, you know, um, the right things at the right time, he does look good, right?
yeah. The play was with a minute 9 left. It was a
Mm-hmm.
3rd and 13
Mm.
on the San Francisco 22-yard line. So
Yeah. I mean,
um,
I think like 3rd and 13, and you're dropping back another 10. Uh, it made no sense to do that, like, quick little flick. I don't. Who was the intended receiver there? Do you know?
the intended receiver was Hasty.
So you
So
flick it to Hasty, and then he gets tackled right there on the spot anyway.
it was a little
Okay.
hasty.
I think it was
To,
just not. Oh God, a hasty pass.
a hasty pass to Hasty.
I
You
think
know.
you go down with the ball, and then you Hail Mary it.
Well,
It's just.
they still had enough time, because you know what, you go 4th and 13,
4th and
you
13, you're
know,
gonna have to Hail Mary it.
no, because you still have a minute left, so you go sideline. You know what I'm saying? And
Nah, man, with 13 yards
did they
sideline,
have?
please. They're gonna blitz the crap out of him.
Yeah, but you know what? You go underneath and you try and make up the yards there, because you know what, they are going to get and jump into that prevent defense, and they're going to be sitting on the the first down marker. So what you do is you throw a short pass toward the sideline with the hopes that you can make up the extra yards with the yard
Maybe.
after catch. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? So they
regardless,
did have a chance, but it doesn't make a
it
difference
doesn't matter
because you know
now
what?
because we have
The
our
thing was
teams.
intercepted.
We have
Exactly.
our Super Bowl teams, and that is the Rams, the LA Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals in LA.
It's not a bad matchup.
It's not a bad matchup.
We're probably going to see some points scored because both teams are capable.
I have my picks ready.
Do you? Wow,
Yeah.
that was quick. Okay.
And you know what?
Who you got?
I had my pick before. I had my honestly, and I'm so afraid of saying this pick. But I have Joe Burrow. I have Joe
Okay.
Burrow winning a chip because I think that he is a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is great, but I think that I saw a lot of dysfunction today. Yeah, I saw a lot of. Oh,
He
speaking of
was playing a
dysfunction, actually,
better defense,
wait.
though.
Speaking of dysfunction, going back to Kansas City, there was a moment that I forgot who was. There was a bit of an argument on the sidelines, sort of like an Antonio Brown situation. One of the receivers, I forgot who it was, but they were saying, "I'm not getting enough touches. I'm not getting enough looks. Pass the ball to me. I'm getting
Really?
open." And there was like a bit of a. I don't want to call it an argument, but there was definitely a heated discussion between a couple of receivers and the coaches.
Hey, those things do
So, and
happen
that happened. That
on the
happened in the
sideline.
third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that there
Yeah.
was frustration and dysfunction happening where the Chiefs ended up just breaking down. But anyway,
Well,
going to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't call it
Yeah,
dysfunction because those type of things happen all the time in the sideline. I remember one time in high school we were playing against um, was it Malloy? I think no, we were playing Midwood, and I got pissed off at one of my players, and I grabbed him on the sideline by the helmet, by the
yeah,
face mask, and I just laid into him at that point. You know what I'm saying? So these things happen more often
yeah. I guess
than
so.
you would think. You know what I'm saying? It's just you make sure that at the end of the day, you guys are good, but stuff like that happens all the
Yeah.
time. You know.
So I have the Bengals winning because again, going back to that, I think that he's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. And I feel like he has a better connection with his team than Matthew Stafford has with the Rams there. I feel like Rams defense is good. I think Rams defense is solid. I don't think that the offense is super solid. I think that Matthew Stafford makes the Rams look better than they are on offense.
I would agree with that. I think if you look at the type of weapons that Cincinnati has, they have Jamar Chase. You got this guy that came out of nowhere well, not out of nowhere, but the receiver Wiggins, who
Yeah.
caught I think he caught 10 balls for 103. Was it something like
I didn't
that?
pay attention to the stats.
Um, and then of course you got Joe Mixon, who is a very good running back. I think if you look at in that case, they do have a better offense. The defense, I'll probably give it more to the Rams just because of that front four that they have, that front seven that they
Yeah.
have. Jalen Ramsey in the back in the secondary and stuff like that. So I would give the defense a nod toward the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the crazy thing about today's game. Burrow got sacked 9 times last week. Still won
hmm
the game. This week, he made some sort of adjustment mentally where he's like, I don't care how hard you try, I'm not getting sacked. He saved his ass 3 or more times from getting sacked and then converted on plays. I was so impressed by his ability to get free, stay mobile, stay cool under
hmm
pressure, and then turn out big plays from there.
See, and
Um,
I think that's where I'm gonna differ with you in terms of who's gonna win the game, just because of what you just said. Um, Joe Burrow, for the most part in these playoffs, has been running for his life. You
That's
know what I'm
true.
saying? And you look at the front seven of this Rams team that has guys like Aaron Donald, that has guys like Von Miller and stuff like that. And I think that right there is going to be the difference in the game, because I believe that the Rams are going to be able to pressure and get to Joe Burrow. And I think that may be the difference in the game. So I'm actually kind of picking the Rams. And it's also another, that to me is also a sentimental pick, because you know what? I would like to see Matthew Stafford get a ring. I think he's suffered enough being in Detroit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you know, it's funny, they went all in with him. You know,
Yeah.
what was the stat? They don't have a first round pick until 2024,
2024. Yeah. They
right?
they they went all in. They gave him all the tools.
Right.
I would love to see OBJ get a chip too. You know,
Yeah, that
I was a
that
big
too.
fan. I was a big fan of OBJ while he was here in the Giants. It was a shame how things ended and how he departed and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But he's got real talent. And it would be great for him, for the both of them to get a ring. Uh, but man, this Cinderella story with Joe Burrow
No, I
is
agree with
just,
you.
you know,
It's a great
I think
story.
that if it's gonna happen, the only way it's gonna happen is if the O line doesn't protect Joe Burrow as good as they did today. Because I
Yeah.
think that they did it much better today. They made the adjustments throughout the week to give Burrow enough time, and even though they were able to crack through, and touch Burrow, I think that it's just a combination of Burrow kind of digging deep and finding new grit, and the O line doing a better job of protecting him and
Yeah.
keeping him confident to stay in the pocket a little bit longer. Uh, if anyone can break that down, I think it will be the Rams defense.
Yeah, because I mean, you look, the Rams defense is kind of similar to the Titans and stuff, where they can bring pressure, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And with that, he barely got past it. And you know, kudos to him for really surviving the
yeah,
Titans
yeah.
game and stuff. KC, their defensive line doesn't really stack up to, you know, either the Titans or the Rams. So that's why I say I think it's going to be a difference maker in the
Yeah,
Super
I mean,
Bowl.
yeah. I mean,
So
you called it a high scoring game, so
yeah, so I'm gonna go with the Rams on this one.
wow. So we're
I
not on the
like
same page after
no,
all.
well, we can't. But I really do feel that, you know, Burrow is going to be back in this game
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
multiple
For
times.
sure.
And remember, the AFC is crowded. I mean, I did send you that
Yeah,
message
yeah.
where you've got, I listed how many quarterbacks? I think like 10 of them,
It
right?
was an insane amount. Like, I do not
So
want to be
you
in the AFC. So
Yeah, you got Derek Carr, you got Lamar Jackson, who we didn't even talk about,
yeah.
who's coming back. Justin Herbert. You got all these guys here. You've got Tua Tagovailoa, who might or might not be a good quarterback.
Yeah, we'll see what
Um,
happens.
yeah,
We'll see
so
what happens if like a
Kyler
coaching
Murray.
change will actually make a difference.
Yes. So it's gonna. You know what? The AFC is stacked.
It is. It is. I think football is going to be in the AFC. I think the Super Bowl might be, in the AFC for a while though. So that's. I think that again, yeah, I think it's going to be a Bengals game. I can't give you a score. I think it might end up being another one of these tough field goal decided games. You know, uh, and
I'm
I
gonna
would
go
want
against that.
nothing more. I would want nothing more for it to be a game that gets decided in the final 2 minutes once again. I mean,
I
this is
think
like
this might
this
be
has been
a.
such an amazing postseason. I don't want it to get away from what it's been.
I think it's going to be a two-score game, to be honest.
Two score game.
Just
Okay.
based on, yeah, I think it may be a 9 or 10 point game. You know, I believe both teams are going to be able to score, but at the end, I think it's going to be the Rams that come out on top. You
Okay.
know,
Well,
so
we'll see. We'll see where we're at.
yeah, man.
Um, real quick, I wanted to mention this stuff I mean,
You have
we've
to
made
talk
our
about your
picks.
Giants
Yeah,
coach,
we got to
right?
talk about the Giants now. Here's the thing, right? So we were talking about Jimmy G, and you're saying, hey, like we have like an option. You know, he can go to the Giants, and I don't want
He's
him
there.
here.
Really?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, I just finished saying how I don't think that he's that great of a quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
We take Garoppolo in, maybe as a veteran second, I think.
Yeah, he won't
To
come.
Yeah, he won't come, right?
He won't come. He's looking
Um,
for a starting job. He
yeah, for
deserves a
sure.
starting
He
job,
does
you
deserve
know?
a starting job.
Yep.
I don't know where he's going to get that though. But I like uh the combination of Shane and Dable coming
Hmm.
in. I think that like it was probably Joe Shane's plan all along, and everything else along the lines. All the other coaching interviews was just to do his due diligence. But if he was going to take the job, I think that he had already, like, the moment he took the job, he probably called Dable and was like, "Hey, you're coming with me, yeah?"
Yeah, of
And he said
course.
yes, right? Um, I like the idea of the two of them giving Daniel Jones one more year to evaluate the team. Okay, truly evaluate the team, see where they are, see what they need to change, what they need to fix, where they need to add, where they need to subtract, and then do all their changes next year. Okay, because Dable doesn't know the team, Shane doesn't know the team. There's no reason for them to go out there and as much as I wanted Wilson before all of this, I did really want Wilson because I didn't think that we were gonna have like such a great combination. I think that Dable and Shane is going to be a awesome combination. I think that they're going to do it the right way. I do like the idea of Shane being all in on analytics. As much as I hate analytics in baseball and football, I think analytics is huge because
Yeah.
football is numbers all over the field. It's how many, receptions, how many what you know per, completion percentage, and yards per play, per drive, and all that stuff. It's huge.
Listen,
Analytics are huge in football.
yeah,
I
that's why
hate it
you
in
spend
baseball because baseball is such a game of it's a stare down game. It's a game of feeling. Like when a pitcher, if a pitcher is feeling it, he can close the game. But analytics say that he should only play 5 innings. I hate when they take the pitcher out
Yeah,
just
that's
because the
true.
paper says, oh, like the paper says that you start dwindling at this point. You don't know how the pitcher's feeling. The pitcher might be feeling it that day. The pitcher's body might be feeling it. He
Hmm.
might be in the zone. He might be like perfectly all the way in. The same way that we can't tell if a pitcher's gonna bomb after 2 innings if he's having a terrible game. We don't know if he's gonna be able to pitch 9 straight innings. You got to leave that in the hands of the pitcher.
And I
And
think that's why managers are so important in baseball, because, like you said, it's all about feeling, right?
yeah,
And
but
so the great managers feel that they get those senses where it's like, you know what, I let this guy in for a little bit
Yeah, but
longer. You know what I'm saying?
you know what it is though. The thing with that is that, like, yeah, managers were important in baseball. They're not anymore because
Yeah.
their jobs hang on the line when they can't perform. And
Who's that guy that changed everything? Billy Bean, I think it
Billy
was.
Bean is the one that changed
Right.
the whole game of
Hmm.
analytics, and not just for baseball, for everything, because
Yeah.
they're using analytics everywhere.
Well,
Um,
listen, football has always been a game of analytics. That's why you spend days in the film room, right?
yeah, yeah,
You're always
yeah,
looking at that stuff. You know, you're looking at tendencies. So,
yeah,
and so I
um,
agree with you that having Joe Shane, an analytics guy, is gonna
yeah.
do nothing but
Yeah,
help the team, right?
so I believe that they're gonna do this the right way by collecting data now and then making the decisions next season. I think that that's the right way to do it. It's also the safest way to do it with the fan base. It's like, hey, we're gonna come in, see what you got. Okay, we might have a crappy season, but hey, we're coming in here and working with what you're giving us already. Now we're gonna make the suggestions versus coming in here, tearing down the house, telling us what you plan on doing, and then that not coming to fruition will just kind of, it's like kind of uh what is it? Under delivering. What's the saying? It's
Over promising and
over
under
promising and
delivering.
under delivering, right? If
Hmm.
you come in here and you just promise us that you're going to give everyone a shot and really see where we are, then there's nothing to under deliver on, you know.
Right.
So I think even
Let
if
me.
we have another like 4-12 season, or
You
four
guys gonna be
and
okay with that?
4-13 season, I think that like I'll probably be okay with it.
Okay. Let
Because
me
of
ask
it,
you a
like
question.
if we add tools, right? We get a new quarterback, we add, new linemen and the whole nine and do all that stuff, and we have the same, production, then I'll be upset because it's like we added for nothing. But if you take what we
Well,
got and you're just analyzing and you're learning about the team and you're trying to figure things out, I really don't think that we're going to have another 4-win season.
there are
But
different types of 4-12 seasons, right?
yeah,
There are the 4-12 seasons like you had this year, where the team got progressively worse, right?
yeah, yeah.
And you could tell that they weren't all in. And then you have 4-12 seasons where you see progress being made, and it's just because you know what,
Well,
you're not there yet, and you need more
what
pieces,
was
right?
Joe saying every single week? Joe Judge? I was like, you don't see what we see.
Oh
We're
yeah.
getting better
Well, you
every
know.
week. Every single week,
Hmm.
we're getting better.
Yeah.
So I
So
don't know.
I'm sure he's seeing what he's seeing on the unemployment line right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, look,
let me
again,
let me
yeah, yeah.
let me ask you a quick question though.
Mm.
Are you slightly disappointed that Brian Flores and or Jim Harbaugh never really got a, well, I'm not going to say never got a chance, but wasn't really
Um,
considered for the Giants job? Because I know you were high on them, and I think everybody at the
I
very
was,
beginning was like, "It's Brian Flores. It's Brian Flores." You were the
yeah.
one that was like, "I want Jim Harbaugh," right?
I want Jim Harbaugh because of the level of coaching that he's at. Okay, like he
He's got
transcends. Yeah,
credibility,
he's got credibility, but he transcends the majority of coaches out there that are already hired, let alone the coaches that were available. Okay.
right?
But did I think that was a real possibility? I don't think that I truly believe that was a possibility. Brian Flores, I really wanted because it's the story of the Brooklyn kid coming back to New York. You
Hmm.
know, he grew up a Giants fan. He grew up here in Brooklyn. He knows the people here, so he knows how to connect with the fan base and do right by the fan base.
Were you
Um,
afraid of some of the red flags that Brian Flores had
no,
being in
because
Miami?
the red flags that he had were just the same red flags that people out of New York have about New Yorkers. You know what I mean? Like it's
Okay,
just like the complaints they had about Brian Flores was basically, oh, he's too New York. How am
okay,
I going to get offended by that
that's
in
true. That's
any way
true.
whatsoever? Flores in this market would not have crumbled the way that Joe Judge did. He would have been able to handle the media. He would have been able to handle the players. He would have been able to handle everything because
I
he's
agree
from New
with that.
York,
Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
I think that ultimately that was Joe Judge's biggest flaw was he's the one that crumbled in the New York market. You know,
Right.
um,
Are you concerned that you have a rookie GM and a rookie head coach?
no, because the rookie GM came from an organization that in the Bills that didn't have anything the easy way. They had to build everything up the hard way. They had to do things in a market that's not that easy to grow. I felt that like if there's it's I feel like if you're in the Bills organization, uh you're in the trenches. You don't have like the star quarterback and the star running backs, and you don't have
Yeah,
like all
that's
the
true.
money in the world, and you still make it work.
Hmm.
And then Dable, being, yeah, he's a first time head coach, but he not only knows the system, knows the GM. And I think that the biggest issue that we've had, and the biggest issue that a lot of teams have, is communication between the coaches and the GM.
Right.
Sure, the GM can come in
Exactly.
and pick their coach, but how often do they get to pick a coach that they've been working with for the last 5 years?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years,
No,
or
it
however
makes
long
total
they've been
makes sense.
together. It's going to be a seamless transition for them. And that's why I'm excited about them. That's why it's
Okay.
like, you guys got carte blanche. Do whatever you need to do now, however you see it. I'm just going to trust everything that they say because it's not a whole, I'm the new GM. I'm going to pull you from this other organization. Let me talk to you about how you did things over there. And then I'm going to tell you how I did things over here. And let's find the middle ground. No, they're coming in here like, hey, let's do what we did up there down here.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, that sounds exactly the way it should be. Let's just see
But
if
it's rare
they
though.
can do
It's
it.
rare. Not like how many times do you get those combinations of like I'm going over here and I'm pulling my guy with me.
Yeah, I know, I know.
So
So
I would not be surprised if they add people from the Bills over the next few years, people that they've worked with before.
so it's Bills South for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it might
Uh,
end up like creating a rivalry too. So,
you just got to find the Josh Allen for you guys. That's the
maybe it's
big thing,
Josh Allen.
because Josh Allen is the guy that kind of puts everything together.
Maybe it's Josh Allen.
So
Who knows?
he's
Who knows?
never leaving Buffalo. Never leaving
Never say
Buffalo,
never.
bro. So
All right. So we only have one more thing that we need to discuss.
is that the Randall report?
It's the freaking Randall report.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't watched a lot of basketball.
Oh, I haven't been
this
watching
week.
any basketball. I'm not motivated to watch any basketball whatsoever. I do not want to see Knicks basketball, and that's huge because I love the Knicks. I love them even when they play sucky, when they're terrible, when they're down in the trash. I'm
Hey,
like
bro.
Spike Lee. Like I'm a root for I'm a root for them. You know.
Yeah, you root for the laundry.
But the reason that I can't even watch basketball is because I can't stand to see Randall on the court. And the reason for that is not because of how he's playing, although it's atrocious. Some days he's good, some days he's terrible. And I already said that he's going to get an automatic F if he's in the single digits. And he had a game where he was in the single digits, maybe 2 games actually. I don't remember reading the full report this week, but he definitely had one game that he was in the single digits. He had a couple good games early in the week, 18 and 24. The turnovers are still crazy, but the thing that I hate the most is seeing
the
how
body language.
uninterested he is in playing the sport of basketball, how uninterested he is in being a part of the team. Okay, there's a team huddle, he's off to the side, he's looking away. A player is down, he, instead of running over to help him, looks at him, turns his back, and walks to the bench. And that just goes to show that you do not care about being on this team. You do not care about being a leader. And I know you might be going through crap, you know, mentally and all that stuff. And I get it. I absolutely get it. Do your job and be a team player. That's it. It doesn't matter how terrible. If you can't shoot, go out there and help pick the guys up off the ground. Go out there and strip a ball. Go out there and rebound the hell out of every ball that you can. If you can't make a single bucket, if your shot is that bad right now, find other ways to be a team player. The way that Thibs said about D Rose is that, yeah, D Rose isn't playing right now, but he's being a team player in other ways. He's watching footage. He's being on the bench. He's calling the guys.
Yeah.
He's doing every little thing that you can be to affect the team, and Randall is not. So Randall there's a huge lack of leadership on the court, and I think that the lack of Randall's ability to lead as well as Rose being on the court, because I think that Rose's leadership skills are the biggest factor on the court and on the bench.
Yeah, I agree with you with that.
I think that is the biggest issue that we have right now.
Yeah,
The
Randall
leadership
right
vacuum
now,
is crazy to me.
It is, because Randall right now has the look of a guy that doesn't want to be there, that he's kind of going through the motions.
He might have been told
especially
that they're going to trade him.
Well, I wouldn't. I don't know if they would have told him that, but I think he's getting the sense that that's eventually the end game here. Because you know what, ever since he had that little incident with the fans, he's been checked out of these things.
Sort of, but I feel like he's been checked out before that.
Yeah, I know, but it just seems a little bit more blatant lately, and maybe it's because of the injuries that the Knicks have and stuff.
Yeah,
but the Knicks, because of it, they're really in very shaky footing and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they had this homestand, which was supposed to be the homestand that kind of makes them right, and they lost every game except one. And now they're getting into the really difficult part of the schedule from here until I think the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's going to be really difficult. They have to make major changes. And, you and I discussed this last week, that Randall does need to be traded, but maybe now is not the time to do it because his value is at an all-time low.
It is, but you know what? Like, you can't, like, honestly, like, there's like, I don't know.
He's bringing the team down.
He's bringing the team down.
Really,
I think that, like, I think that it'd be better to. This is a situation where I think you cut your losses, trade him for garbage picks, trade him for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just part ways with him because he's doing you so much harm. While
But
you're
he's
like,
almost
if
untradeable at this point, especially with that
he
contract.
might be, but supposedly the rumors are that there is some interest out there for Randall.
Really,
Hmm.
who's interested?
I don't know, but if you look at it this way too, they're only 3.5 games back from making it to the top 8.
Yeah, but how many
So
teams are in front of them? That I think that's the thing, right?
there's only 3 teams, well, 4 teams in front of them. And what I'm saying is that, like, this the overall, there's no one that's really running away with it except for the Bulls and the Heat. But nobody's like running away from it. I mean, even the Nets are on sixth, are in the sixth seed right now, or standing at number 6. The Knicks are at 12, but they're really not that far back. They can still turn the season around. And there's still plenty of time to turn it around.
No, dude,
Um,
they have 5 other teams in front of them, you know, because you got. Oh no, you're
no,
right.
no,
You're
no.
right.
They
Yeah, you're
got the
right.
Wizards, the Hawks, the Celtics, and the Raptors. They just need to take
Yes,
over the
yes, yes.
Raptors,
Yeah, yeah.
and
You're right. You're right.
that's only 3.5 games back. That's nothing.
But
In the
you
grand scheme of
think
things, because we're not going to make our way up 9 games to make it to the top. That's not possible. But what I'm saying is that the
right?
season is not a lost cause. I think that it's possible. It's just that Randall is playing like it is. It makes us feel like we are a lost cause. Now the problem is that the upcoming schedule is going to probably set us back a few more games. Um,
I also think the teams in front of them are going to get better as the thing.
yeah,
Especially
so that's what I'm
you
saying.
look at teams like the Hawks and Boston. They're better than what their records are, you know, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, but the
that
thing
also
is,
makes it
but I
difficult.
think that the Knicks are too. That's the thing. I think the Knicks are better than what the records
You think
show.
so?
Yeah, I think that the Knicks are better than what the records show. If you literally just take Randall and you have him have double digit games, we win. He just needs to be in the double digits. He just needs to care, or if he at least stops turning the ball over, like 7, 8, 9, 10 times a game. You stop having
I
that, because we're not losing games. Some games we get blown out, but most games we're losing them by margins, by tiny margins, small mistakes. You know,
I think I think the problem with the Knicks is that they kind of went away from the philosophy that made them successful last year, and that was really personified in the acquisitions of Kemba Walker and what's that other kid's name?
Evan
Evan
Fournier.
Fournier, right?
Yeah. So,
Those guys have really struggled in their first year here with the Knicks,
well,
and the thing about it is that
rumors are that Walker and Fournier are going to be moved by the trade deadline.
okay, that's a
So,
step in the right
yeah,
direction because you know what,
yeah.
their defense has taken a hit because of them, and they were willing to make that sacrifice if they showed that they could give you a little bit more offense, which they haven't done
Yeah,
really this
yeah,
season, at least not on a consistent basis.
yeah.
So you have 3 facets there that are kind of killing the Knicks, you know. But I like Obi Toppin. To me, is an exciting player to watch.
He
You
is. He's
know,
an exciting player. He's still a
he's
little
a
bit green
he's
around the gills.
but
He
he's a
needs more
good finisher.
minutes. He needs more minutes so that he can start kind of shaking off some of the bad habits that he has, some of the turnovers. He doesn't score too much. He doesn't get himself open enough, but he is a showstopper.
He
You
is a
know.
great finisher.
One thing though is that he is in positive numbers on points per minutes played over Randall, by a large margin.
Oh yeah, Randall is in
So
the negative, isn't he?
yeah,
Whenever he's on the
he's like
floor,
negative
it's like
32%. So
it's
it's
like
insane.
some ridiculous number.
Yeah. So
You know.
versus when Obi's on the floor, it's 15% um per minutes played of
Hmm.
production. So that's a huge gap. We're talking about a 45 percentage point gap between Randall and Obi while
Yeah,
either of them are on the floor. And yet we won't sit Randall out for Obi. I don't understand why we're just not starting him. I have
yeah,
no
I
idea
don't
what's
get it.
going on. Um Maybe Thibs is like, well, I'm gonna put you out there until you figure it out, and hopefully something clicks. Because I'm sure someone like Randall, who I don't think that he benefits from being benched. He might be the kind of guy that, like, mental health wise, he's not cutting it, and then being
He's not a
benched.
bench player though. He's really not.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know. Yeah,
he's not the guy, the kind, because what a bench player is supposed to be, the kind of guys that give you a spark.
yeah,
That
yeah.
when you're in the malaise, you put him in there, and then boom, all of a sudden you've got a different flow. He's not that type of guy.
We
He
need D
really
Rose
isn't.
back. We really need D
Yeah,
Rose back. All right. So anyway, again, Randall report. I'll give him an F. I mean, I just his attitude on the court is terrible, and again, another game in the single digits. It's inexcusable as the marquee de facto leader of the squad. You just can't.
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So,
I concur.
any final thoughts on anything?
There was something. I can't remember. Oh, Henrik Lundqvist gets his
Right. Yes,
number,
he gets his number retired.
lifted,
Yeah.
and that's a great day for the Rangers. He was a great goalie when he was here, and he deserves the honor. It's just a shame he never won a Stanley Cup with us. But
But
it is what
still,
it is,
the
right?
honor
Still a
is,
great player.
huge when
Still
it
a
comes
great
to
player.
retiring numbers. I know that there's
And a
like
classy player.
yeah.
And a classy player as well. So good on him for that. Other than that, I mean, still no baseball.
Still no baseball. Still no
no
baseball.
baseball.
Baseball is going to be boring for a while. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's if they even play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're still locked out. I do believe that there was some positives because they did meet up for the first time in a while. And
Yes.
there was some discussion, but you know what?
We'll see. When we get some solid info, we'll bring it to you guys.
There you go. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, once again, thank you guys for listening to the Arena podcast. Again, I am Gabe, and that is Walt. What? Please like, rate, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode and you want to send it over to someone that you can share and talk and discuss with. Please hit that share button right now and drop us a DM. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what you want to hear of more, who you want to hear of less. Hopefully neither of us. And thank you, and stay in the arena.
Peace.